Okay, so have you seen these cell phone plans lately? It seems like every company is saying they have the best deal with unlimited this and unlimited that, but how do you even know where to start?
Right. And how do you know what you're really getting?
Well, that's what we're here for. Today, we're taking a deep dive into total wireless, and this article from Best MVNO is really going to help us break it all down.
And this is not just some surface level review. This article goes deep into the details of total wireless, the good, the bad, and everything in between.
Exactly. And one of the things that really stuck out to me was this whole idea of unlimited data. Because we've all seen those ads, right? But what does unlimited actually mean when you look at the fine print?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And with total wireless, it seems like it's more about the quantity of data than the quality,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to streaming.
Really? So even if I have unlimited data, my streaming quality might still be limited. What's the deal with that?
Well, basically, it all comes down to network congestion. So total wireless actually uses Verizon's network,
Mm-hmm.
which is generally considered pretty reliable. But think of it like a highway. Verizon built it, but total wireless customers are sharing that highway with everyone else on Verizon's network.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like rush hour. When everybody's trying to get on the highway at the same time, things tend to slow down a bit.
Exactly. And to manage all that traffic, total wireless might have to throttle or slow down certain types of data usage, like streaming video.
That makes sense, I guess. But the article also mentioned something about 5G ultra wideband, which sounds pretty impressive.
It is. 5G ultra wideband is like having your own personal fast lane on that highway we were talking about. It means much faster speeds and smoother experiences, especially for things like online gaming or video calls where lag can really kill the vibe.
Hmm.
But here's the thing, only Total Wireless's two most expensive plans actually offer access to that 5G ultra wideband.
Ah, so they dangle that super fast speed in front of you, but you got to pay a premium to actually use it.
Pretty much.
Makes sense, I guess, from a business perspective.
It definitely does.
So realistically, when you're choosing a plan, you really have to think about what you're going to use your phone for. Are you a casual user just checking emails and browsing the web? Or do you rely on your phone for work gaming and streaming?
Exactly. You got to find the plan that aligns with your needs.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, the article also touched on Total Wireless's history a little bit.
Yeah.
Didn't they go through some kind of ownership change recently? Like, weren't they bought by Verizon or something like that?
Yeah, they did. It's actually been kind of a wild ride for them. So they were originally owned by TracFone, which is another big player in that prepaid phone world. And then back in 2020, Verizon swooped in and acquired TracFone and all of its brands, which included Total Wireless.
Oh, wow. So they became part of the Verizon family.
Yep. And for a while there, they even rebranded as Total by Verizon.
Oh, yeah. Now that you mention it, I do remember hearing something about that.
Yeah, it seemed like they were really trying to leverage that Verizon name recognition, which, makes sense from a marketing perspective.
Yeah.
But then, get this, they actually switched back to Total Wireless.
Wait, so they were Total by Verizon for a bit and then decided to go back to just Total Wireless.
That's right.
Man, that is kind of a head scratcher. I wonder what prompted that change. It seems like a lot of back and forth.
Yeah. You got to wonder about the thought process behind that whole branding adventure. But hey, maybe they realized that the Total Wireless name still had some weight to it. Maybe they had a loyal customer base that still remembered and trusted the name Total Wireless.
So they went on that whole branding journey and then decided to come back to their roots.
Yeah, you got to wonder what was going on behind the scenes there.
Yeah.
But branding aside, let's get back to these plans. You mentioned that they all advertise unlimited data, but as we were saying before, what does that actually mean in practice?
Right, because there's always more to it than meets the eye.
Always. And the Best MVNO article does a really great job of breaking it all down. Like, it points out that the main difference between the plans isn't about how much data you get, because they all have unlimited data, but it's about the perks that come with it.
Okay, so what are we talking about here? What kind of perks?
Well, two of the biggest ones are 5G ultra-wideband access and hotspot data. And we touched on 5G ultra-wideband before, but it's worth repeating. Only the top two most expensive plans actually include it. So if having those blazing fast speeds is a deal breaker for you, you really need to factor that in when you're choosing your plan.
It's kind of like when airlines offer those different fare classes. They'll all get you to your destination, but the experience is going to be pretty different depending on what you pay for.
That's a great analogy. And then you've got hotspot data, which is another key difference between the plans. Basically, hotspot data lets you turn your phone into like a personal Wi-Fi hotspot, so you can share your phone's internet connection with other devices like a laptop or a tablet.
Oh, right. It's
So
like,
it can be a lifesaver if you travel a lot or if your home internet goes out or
mm-hmm.
any time you need to get online and there's no Wi-Fi available.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
And I imagine different plans come with different amounts of hotspot data.
they do. So if you're a heavy hotspot user, that's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Good to know. It's so easy to get caught up in the excitement of unlimited data that you forget about all these other important details that can really affect your experience.
Absolutely. And speaking of important details, the article also brought up something else that I thought was really interesting. Bringing your own device.
Right, BYOD, bring your own device. So is Total Wireless pretty DYOD friendly?
They seem to be.
Hmm.
Basically, as long as your phone is unlocked and compatible with their network, you're good to go.
Yeah.
They even have a compatibility checker on their website, so you can just pop in your phone's information and make sure everything will work before you switch over.
Oh, that's smart. That's really helpful.
Yeah, it definitely takes some of the guesswork out of it.
It sounds like they're trying to make the transition as smooth as possible. That being said, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Porting your phone number. Because that always seems to be a little bit of a headache.
Ugh, yeah. Porting your number can definitely be a pain. And the article actually mentioned something really interesting about this. Apparently, some carriers use something called port protection, which makes it harder for customers to switch to a different carrier.
Really? So it's like they're trying to lock you in?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So if you are thinking about switching to Total Wireless, it's probably a good idea to call your current carrier beforehand and find out what their put-out procedures are like, just to avoid any surprises.
Always good to be prepared. Now, for people who are sold on Total Wireless, where can they actually buy these plans? Is it an online-only thing, or can you get them in stores too?
The good news is they have several different options. You can always go through the Total Wireless website directly, which is probably the most straightforward approach. But if you prefer talking to a real-life human being, they also have physical stores you can visit.
Oh, so you can just walk in and talk to someone face to face.
Exactly. And if you're just looking for a SIM card because you already have a compatible phone,
Yeah.
you can find those at most major retailers like Walmart and Target.
Oh, that's super convenient. So they've really covered all their bases in terms of making their plans easy to get a hold of.
It seems like it. Now, there's one last thing I want to touch on before we wrap up. It's kind of a big one. The 5-year price guarantee that Total Wireless is offering.
Oh, yeah. The article mentioned that. That's pretty much unheard of in the cell phone plan world, right? Especially these days when it seems like prices are going up on everything. So how does it work?
Basically, it's exactly what it sounds like. They lock in your monthly plan price for 5 years.
Yeah.
So whatever you sign up for today, that's the price you're going to pay for the next 5 years. Guaranteed.
Wow, 5 years. That's a bold move. I mean, it sounds like a pretty amazing deal from a budgeting standpoint, but I'm guessing there's got to be a catch somewhere.
Well, nothing's ever completely black and white, right? The article did kind of hint at a potential downside. Technology moves incredibly fast, and what seems like a cutting-edge phone plan today might feel a little bit antiquated 5 years down the line.
That's true. 5 years ago, 5G was barely a thing, and now it's becoming the standard.
Yeah.
Who even knows what kind of
Oh,
cool new technologies they'll come up with in the next 5 years?
exactly.
So you might end up being stuck with a plan that seems outdated in a couple of years. It's kind of a gamble.
It is a bit of a gamble for sure. On the one hand, you've got price stability for 5 years, which is really appealing. But on the other hand, technology is constantly evolving. So, yeah, it's a tough call.
It really is. There's no easy answer. I guess it all depends on your priorities. Like, are you someone who always needs to have the latest and greatest tech, even if it means paying a premium? Or are you more interested in finding a good deal and sticking with it, even if it means missing out on some of those newer features down the line?
Yeah, you really have to weigh the pros and cons and decide what matters most to you. But that's the beauty of these deep dives.
Mhm.
We're not here to tell you what to think or what to do. Our goal is just to give you the information you need to make an informed decision.
Exactly. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that today. Thanks to this Best MVNO article, we've really gotten a comprehensive look at Total Wireless. We've talked about their plans, their network, their history, even that whole branding back and forth.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
We have. And hopefully our listeners feel like they have a much better understanding of what Total Wireless is all about.
Absolutely. And hopefully this deep dive has inspired some of our listeners to do a little digging of their own. Because at the end of the day, the best cell phone plan is the one that meets your individual needs and your budget.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So do your research, compare your options, and don't be afraid to ask questions. And hey, if you're ever feeling lost in the world of cell phone plans, you know where to find us. We're always here to help you navigate those murky waters.
That's right. We'll be back next time with another deep dive into the world of tech and gadgets. Until then, stay curious and stay connected.